Hello everyone, welcome to Mobility Academy. I'm the flexibility guy, Coach Elia, and in today's video I'm going to explain to you why and when you shouldn't do the pike stretch, which is the position where you bring your torso closer to your legs and you stretch your posterior chain. So you stretch your legs and you stretch your hips. But before I explain to you why you shouldn't do the pike stretch, let me ask you to subscribe to the channel if you are new and turn on the notifications so you'll never miss one of my next videos, okay? With that said, let's start. So the pike stretch is this position here where you stay on floor. I'm going to show you the variation on floor, but you can do the same exercise also from standing. It's just a different variation, but the technique and the concepts I want to explain to you stay completely the same, okay? Now, from this position, the purpose of this position is bringing the torso closer to the legs, okay? And this movement here, in the hips, as you can see, I'm moving my hips during this movement. So this movement here creates a strong stretch in the back part of the legs, in the hamstrings muscles, in the calves muscles, and also on your glutes and on your lower back, okay? So you're going to stretch your legs and hips during this movement here, during the pike stretch. And a lot of people do this exercise here to improve their flexibility level as well. But when you're not flexible enough to do this movement here of hip flexion, you're going to do this. So rather than moving your hips here, so the movement, as you can see, I'm bringing my entire spine closer to the legs, and the movement happens in the hips here. Rather than doing that, if you are stiff, you're going to do that. So from here, you just curve your spine here, and you try to reach your toes here. Of course, you're going to feel a kind of stretch here in the back part of your legs, especially here under your knee, okay? And you're going to do something like this. As you can see, I'm curving my spine, I'm curving my upper and middle back in order to reach my toes, but I'm not moving this angle here. So watch this position, which is the standing position, and watch this position, which is the pike stretch, okay? Where I'm trying to actually get deeper into the stretch, but the angle between my my lower back here and my legs isn't changing, okay? So here and here, I'm like keeping the same angle between my lower back and my legs. And what I actually want to do here is to do something like that. I want to straighten my lower back, straighten my middle back, straighten my upper back, and trying to close this angle here, okay? So I know that this is really difficult, especially if you're really stiff, okay? So now we are going to see an exercise, or it's not like only an exercise, because I'm going to explain to you what you should do to improve your flexibility, your posterior chain flexibility. So the flexibility in your calves, hamstrings, glutes, lower back, so the flexibility of your legs and hips, to improve your pike, but without doing the pike. Because if you do the pike like this, you're not going to improve your flexibility at all, because you're like improving your compensations in the position. Because from here, it's really hard to like get here, okay, if you do only this stretch here, okay, because the body like doesn't adapt to that kind of stimulus, because you're doing it with the wrong technique, okay? So now I will teach you an exercise and few key points that you should keep in mind if you want to improve your pike flexibility and your legs and hips flexibility, okay? All you need is a bench, okay? Now let's see how to do it. Okay guys, have you got your bench ready? Perfect. Now let's see how to do this exercise where you're going to really improve your legs and hips flexibility rather than using your upper and middle back as stiff people do in the pike. So here we're going to see also how to improve the pike, but I want to make clear that doing a pike with a curved middle, lower and upper back and not like going into the position with the hip flexion is not a mistake. Okay, it's just a lack of flexibility which creates that kind of compensation. Okay, so you need to find a way to improve your flexibility with another exercise, which is exactly what we're going to do now. So you sit down on the bench here, okay, one foot on the bench, your one leg bent here, okay, and the other leg on the same line of the leg on the bench. You keep your foot here, a 90-degree angle here. Now you want to square your hips a bit, which means that your right hip must be on the same line of your left hip, okay, on the same line. So if you watch my hips here, I want to draw a line and I want to keep my right hip on the same line of the left hip, okay? So from this position here, what I want to do is to flex a little bit my ankle here, okay? And from this position, I arch my lower and middle back. So here you need to think about pushing your butt out, like behind you, which means that you want to sit on your sit bones, which are the bones that you have under your hips, okay? So here you want to roll your pelvis back as if you want to like push your butt back, okay, away from you. So here you want to roll the pelvis and you want to feel that you're sitting on your sit bones. Okay, here you can feel that because it's really you can feel a pressure, a different pressure on the bench, which comes from the back part of your hips rather than your glutes. So here I'm sitting on my glutes, here I'm sitting on my hip bones. Okay, can you spot the difference? Yeah. So from this position I have my leg bent here. What I want to do from here is to arch my lower and middle back, and I want to bring my chest towards my knee. I want to do that both by flexing my hips and by like bringing my knee towards my chest. Okay, now as you can see I'm touching. Okay, this is our starting position. I want to keep my lower and middle back really straight, and from this position all what I want to do is to straighten my leg, this leg, by like sliding forward with this heel on the bench until I can feel the stretch in the posterior part of my leg. Okay, so I go, and then I stop. I stop here, okay, because I feel the stretch in my hamstrings, for example, the posterior part of my leg, this leg. I'm not working with this leg, okay? This leg is resting. I'm working only with my right leg, okay? For example, here. Now, I stay here. I want to pull my body down. I can grab the bench, for example, or I can grab my foot. It doesn't matter. Just try to, as you can see, when I pull, I can straighten my lower and middle back. If I don't pull and I just stay here, it's really easier to compensate the position. So I want to keep this nice pull here, and I stay here from 6 to 10 breaths, trying to improve my level of flexibility here. After 6 to 10 breaths, I can make a PNF contraction, which is a contraction that helps me increase my my range of motion, helps me increase the stretch here, because it allows me to relax more in this position here. Okay, now to apply a PNF contraction, I want to push this heel against the bench, as if I want to like push the bench down, okay? I want to keep an isometric contraction, which means that I hold that contraction for a given amount of seconds. So for example here, I want to hold the PNF contraction 10 to 15 seconds, so I start to push, okay? I keep this connection here between my chest and my knee, and I push down with my heel. I'm like contracting the muscles in the posterior part of my leg, okay? I push, 10 to 15 seconds, and then I really hold that contraction. I hold the contraction, and then as I stop after 10 seconds, for example, I inhale, and on the exhale, I try to get a little deeper into the stretch. As you can see, the movement is really similar to a pike position, because in a pike position, I also bring my torso towards my legs. But in this example here, I'm using only one leg, and I'm keeping this leg bent. Now, what is the key point? What are the key points, I should say, of this exercise? Now, the first one is that you keep your leg bent. By doing that, I can work more on my leg and hips rather than my calves. Okay, if you're stiff, you wanna be like a little bit more specific when you do the stretches, and this helps you a lot because here you can focus more on your hips, and this will increase your pike stretch and your hips and legs flexibility a lot. And the second point is that I'm working with one leg at a time, which allows me to focus more on one leg. For example, a lot of people have one leg stiffer than the other, okay? So when you do a stretch like this, you can figure out like what is your, which one is your stiffer leg, and maybe you can do a little bit more work for your stiffer leg so you can like adjust your imbalances, okay? So these are the two main key points of this exercise, and why I think that doing this exercise here is really better than doing the pike stretch with the compensations. And here you can't compensate, because now the most important thing is that you keep your chest really close to your knee at all times during the stretch. So you don't want to do that, because if you do that, it's again the same mistake of the pike. But here you can avoid that, okay? You can stick to a good technique, so try to do that with the right technique. So here, and then you try to extend. This is all you want to do here. You want to extend the leg, but keeping it bent. So you must like feel how strong you feel the stretch here on your leg. If you feel the stretch, then okay, don't go with your ego. Don't try to extend your leg completely if you feel that you're losing the contact between your chest and your knee, okay? So you just stay here, 6 to 10 breaths, and you just go. You can make a PNF contraction, and then after the PNF contraction, you inhale, exhale, and you try to get deeper. You can repeat from 1 to 3 PNF cycles, okay? Remaining in the passive position, so when you just breathe in the position and you try to relax more for 6 to 10 breaths, and then you go 1 to 3 PNF contractions, and then you change, of course. You want to do the same work on the other leg, okay? So this is the one leg bent pike on the bench, okay? As you can see, it's the same exercise in terms of hip activation of the pike stretch, but here you're walking without compensations, one leg at a time, and you can like stick to a good technique rather than compensating the position as beginners and also maybe intermediates do in a pike stretch, okay? With that said, I hope that with the information you have found in this video, you're going to improve your legs, hips and pike flexibility, but I'm sure that you're going to improve your pike because that is just a consequence of improving your legs and hips flexibility. If you give this exercise a go, please let me know in the comments, also if you have any further questions. That's all from the flexibility guy, Coach Elia. Have a nice stretch and see you in the next video.